Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to B&B. I'm Burke.
I'm Bird.
Our opinion matters, but more specifically, my opinion matters. It matters a little bit more. That's why it's called My Opinion Matters.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, just in
Well, what
case
if I
you were
say it
wondering.
like this? No, my opinion matters.
Oh,
I have a deep,
supple
silky
voice. Ooh,
and my opinion matters.
yeah, it does. What are we talking about today, Birdie?
We're talking about the Dark Crystal.
Ooh, Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance, Part 2. Can't wait.
If you haven't watched the first one, make
Go
sure
do
to
it.
do that now. It's in the playlist right up there.
Right
I
over
think right about
there somewhere.
In that general direction.
General direction. In a general that way direction.
In a general that way direction.
General that way direction.
General that way direction.
This could go on for a while.
Okay, so we're just gonna actually get right into it now.
Yeah, let's
pick
go
up
ahead
right
and
where
do
we
this.
left off. I think we're gonna talk a little bit more off the bat about some high-level stuff,
Yeah.
main themes. Then we'll actually get in and dissect the final 5 episodes.
Sounds
The
good.
final
Sounds
3 of
good.
which I will probably be talking all y'all's ears off because, oh my goodness, epic.
Right. Cool. Well, let's get right into it here. So in the final 5 episodes, we learn a lot about the nature of the Skeksis, and honestly, this is the part of the show that really, really fascinates me.
Okay.
Couldn't wait to talk about it. Had to keep my mouth shut the whole first 5 episodes, and it was hard. So we learn that the Skeksis are one half of kind of an origin race, right? We see in these episodes, we see Urgo and Urva, I believe, the Archer and the Wanderer,
Yes.
who are members of this mystic race, which are the other half of the Skeksis.
Like this.
Yeah. Always talk like they're tired and young.
Oh my God! Get to the point. Get to the point already.
Exactly. So at some point in the history of this story, we had one unified race that got split in 2. Now, the way the show presents this split is kind of like this is the good half of somebody and this is the evil half of somebody, right? We're going to try to purify ourselves, and the Skeksis were all the imperfections. And what was left over is just all the good, right?
Yes.
Excuse me.
We don't have. Well, you got water. Go
Yeah.
Get some.
I don't entirely agree with that. I don't know if you do.
I have an opinion on that. It's a little more in depth, but
Okay.
it plays off of yours. So
Okay.
if you would regale us first, that
Sure.
would give me a foundation from which to work.
So my view of the Skeksis is a little bit influenced by Star Wars. Now, for those of you who, maybe aren't that in depth in Star Wars like I am, I bathe in Star Wars. I love Star Wars.
But not all of them.
But not all of them.
There are
well,
ones that don't
not
exist
all
for
of
you.
them are Star Wars. Let's be real.
Hubburn.
Okay.
Don't worry. I'm
You
sure
know what?
we actually get.
We need to take a break to talk about Last Jedi real quick, okay?
Can we just not? Can we do that in its own episode? You're gonna go, and we've tried this over and over, and over. You cannot shut your mouth about it years after it happened.
Yeah, I bear grudges and
Okay.
strong opinions,
I'll
and
tell
they
you-
matter.
I'll tell you what, your opinions do matter. And they deserve their own episode because this one is not about Star Wars, and I want to get my opinions out too because my opinions matter.
All right, fair enough. So, okay, we'll go over Star Wars real quick. Now, the way the light side and the dark side of the Force work is not good and evil, right? I mean, and this changes depending on who the author is, but kind of the consensus is that the dark side could more accurately be called the emotional side of the Force, right?
Yes.
The dark side is what happens when you let your emotions run you, but emotions themselves aren't bad. They're just easily corruptible, right? And
Yes.
so when you fall to those emotions, when you fall to the emotional side, you fall to the dark side, you become very self-indulgent, still very ambitious. You know, you're chasing
Right.
down your own goals. You know, drive isn't an evil thing, but these wants and needs corrupt you, right? But it's kind of similar on the light side of the force, right? This kind of stoic, hands off approach to everything means that they get nothing done ever. They are complacent. They like to sit by and watch the galaxy pass them by.
Right.
And I think the division of the Skeksis and the Uru is very similar. I don't think this is the good and evil side of one being. I think this is the emotional side of a being, the Skeksis, driven by emotional. They've got this emotional side of themselves without any of that stoicism to check any of those emotional wants and needs. Um, and they have eternity to just pursue their own wants and needs, right? So maybe they didn't even start out all that bad. Maybe they didn't start off with this level of corruption. But as this emotional side of this being runs without any restraint, being, let's face it, the most important thing in the world for thousands of trine. I mean, because they are the most important beings in the world. Um, the world was given to them and they are there to be stewards of the world, in the same
Mhm.
way that, you know, wherever you land on the religious spectrum, you know, if you're a Christian, you believe, you know, we're here to be stewards of the world. If you're, you know, I mean, this is pretty common in most religions, right?
Well, I think so. I actually,
Yeah.
this is a great springboard
Hmm.
to the nuance that I would make in more Eastern religions. My understanding, at least, is that um, the all would take the
Hmm.
place of what a Western Christian would call God, and
Sure.
you get, how do I say this? I'm no scholar, so don't judge me. If you have helpful comments, please put them below.
Yeah, I
It,
sense we're going way outside our depth. This is way more in depth than we.
if you think that I just don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry. I know that too. You don't need to comment.
Yeah, we're going way outside our pay grade here, but go
But
on.
basically, from my understanding, um, the basically the point, what is the point of life?
Hmm.
And when becoming one with the all is the ultimate goal
Hmm.
of existence. Um, that's right. Okay, so from my understanding, it's like there was this all, this whole, and
Hmm.
then it fragmented, and that's where we get individuals. And enlightenment is getting back to the whole,
Yeah.
and there is a sense of self annihilation in that, um, which is, in my opinion, one of the main differences between East and West thinking. But I, I without becoming, you know, a talk on religious philosophy.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we got here.
Well, I'm about to draw it in.
Okay.
Um, even in that case, caring for the world is a part of caring for the all. So much like a Christian would look at it as we're stewarding a piece of creation that our God made,
Hmm.
you know, someone from the East might look at it as, well, it's a part of the all. Of course, we have to take care of it. It's a part of us.
Oh, sure.
Which is, I think, where I would nuance what you were saying about the Zen versus the emotional driven side as good and bad. I
Yeah.
think in this world's context, where nature and um, we're basically nature's god.
Hmm.
Thra is the point.
Yeah.
Thra is how the entire world holds together. Ironic because it is also the world. But when these creatures die, they return to Thra. They become
Hmm.
part of the cycle again.
It's kind of
It has a very religious
it.
undertone
Yeah,
to
it
it.
does.
Um,
Samsara vibes, or
and I'm not really gonna comment on that particularly because it's a fictitious world. They can have whatever religious system they want. I don't
sure.
care. But if nature is God,
Mhm.
That's the or if then statement you have to start with.
Yeah.
But if that's true, then ambivalence would be good
Okay.
because being ambivalent to what nature does
Hmm.
allows nature to be nature.
Okay, interesting.
And when we individuate away from that,
Hmm.
we are deviating from the natural order of things.
Okay, so assuming God in this world, we assume God to be good. Those are just synonymous.
Right.
Right? So God in this world is the world,
Right.
literally.
Right.
So anything
or
that
nature
goes
with a, if you want nature with a capital N.
yeah, nature with a capital N. So then anything going against nature
Would be bad.
would be bad, ergo evil.
Individuals,
Hmm.
drive,
Interesting.
emotion, anything that would pull you to that. And this is the big area where I would think I would differ with how you framed it earlier. I
Mhm.
don't see the mystic side. The guys. I
Yeah,
don't know the
the
full word.
Uru.
The Uru. I don't see them as particularly unemotional.
Mhm.
But the dividing line seems to be good emotions are those that allow you to be a part of nature's cycle
Hmm.
versus the emotions that make you unique from that cycle as an individual, because in that you follow your own interests rather than the
Hmm.
interests of nature.
So one is more this idea, well, and this could actually go back into the idea of a hive mind. Maybe this
Yeah.
is why hive minds evolve in this world.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh.
And it's actually very interesting. I've heard some modern thinkers actually pose the differences between East and West
Mhm.
around the individual itself.
Yeah.
So whether you have Judaism or Christianity, um, all of Western culture is based around the individual and the
Yeah.
individual's rights and what the individual needs, and that the individual is the center and the most prized portion
Hmm.
of the society. In the
Okay.
East, whether it be in how we commonly, and I'm not a scholar on like Hinduism or anything, but
Sure.
how it's been presented to me, whether it be that or communism or things like that that often take root in the East, there is a more
Mhm.
collectivist mindset where the
Hmm.
individual is a part of a greater whole and the value lies on the whole, not the individual.
I could see that. I could see that. Again, I haven't done any research, but
Sure.
it sounds good. I'd buy it.
Um, and and for those of you who pay attention to this particular person, you'll know where I got this quote. Um, but this particular person talks about them these fundamental things as the revelations of Jerusalem and Athens. That
Okay.
Athens there is a good, there is a point to life,
Mhm.
and we can find it. And the revelation of Jerusalem is that there are certain unbreakable threads or not threads, certain unbreakable, I guess we would call them rights
Mhm.
that are based,
Tenants maybe.
rights that humans have
Mhm.
by virtue of existing.
Okay.
And that would be because humans would be made in the image and likeness of God.
Hmm.
And that comes from the Judaism, Christianity, and I don't know much about Islam, but they claim
Well,
to
they
be
all kind of come from the same
they claim to be a
Yeah.
continuation of that. So I would probably throw them in there, and I know Mormons are similar as well
Hmm.
in the sense that they claim a succession from that. So that would be what they would call that revelation of Jerusalem, the value of the individual as made in the image and likeness of God, versus what they would call the revelation of Babel,
Okay.
where so in Genesis in the Old Testament there is this tower that's built to the skies, and somehow this stuff is threatening God,
Yeah. Figure that one out.
right? But really doesn't say much about it within at least the canonical Bible.
Mhm.
But what we do see is the thing that's highlighted is that the people were of one mind and one language.
Mm.
Now, I don't think that means like everybody speaks English or whatever. I think that actually goes back to more of this hive mind idea,
Hmm.
where if I were able to dream fast with me, CJ, and communicate not just language, emotion, thought, all the nuance of everything in my head surrounding a topic, and I were able to just download that to you,
Hmm.
communication would be a lot better. There would be a lot less room for misunderstanding.
Hmm.
So you'd function more as this single, like a hive mind, essentially. Everybody's able to communicate perfectly with everybody around this goal of building this tower.
Hmm.
And what God says when he comes down is they will be able to do anything they imagine or image in their minds.
Okay.
So essentially this idea that that kind of unity
Mhm.
misdirected can lead to all kinds of violations against the individual. Now,
Okay.
I'm not. Again, this is I'm outlining this mostly because of its relevance to the story that we are commenting on today.
Yeah.
I don't really have a side on this. I mean, I have my religious opinions, but that nobody cares about that.
Mhm.
So again, this is just it's fascinating to me to
Yeah.
see how this story.
Yeah, you went deep on this.
I told you I got so much out of this, and don't even
Yeah.
get me started on the archetypal hero story. Like this is riddled with that, and the archetypes of like nature and civilization and society and the interplay between that and the male energy and the female energy. Like it's got all of it. If you want to go like all Carl
Yeah.
Jung on this stuff, you could do it. It's a really well thought out story.
Nice.
And if I keep going, this is going to turn into a 3-hour podcast.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm going to stop.
It sounds like it could. Yeah, that's crazy.
It would be a very interesting podcast, but I'm by no means expert enough on the underlying principles.
Somebody could do it, though.
Someone could. So
Yeah.
if you can do that, please do. And then link your video to this one so we can all go enjoy your video. And while you're at it, like, comment, and subscribe.
There you go.
Plugging
Nice.
away.
Plugging away. So
When I can't figure out how to stop, I just say
Anyway.
like, comment, subscribe, and then throw it back to you.
there you go.
Back to you, Sage.
All right, so we're gonna digress back to So my theory on the Skeksis is that you have, kind of the emotional side of these beings that has been given the world, basically.
Right.
They don't just think they're the most important thing in the world. They actually are. Like, in point of fact,
Right.
they are. I mean, they are functionally immortal, and they are the keepers of everything in this world. They will outlive everything in this world.
Mhm.
I mean, in the same way that we look at a chicken or a pig or, a sheep, any kind of farm animal, we are stewards of these animals, but, if we're going to consume one to feed our family, so be it.
Right.
That is our right, as humans, because we see ourselves as so superior
Mm.
to a life form without language, without the
Right.
ability to permanently alter the environment around it in the same way.
And realistically, unless you're in the world of The Legend of Zelda,
Mm-hmm.
what's anything going to do? Are the chickens going to rise up against us?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, the cuckoo invasion in the Ocarina of Time is a real thing, and don't mess with that, or do. But
Or do.
brain just stopped.
Yeah.
But,
We
yes,
used all our brain juice early.
But yeah, like seriously, what are the cows going to do? Become cow mortars and just
Yeah.
like launch themselves at us?
Right?
Moo.
Moo. So an emotional being left unchecked, he doesn't have the other half of his personality to
Mhm.
check any of his actions. Who literally is the most important person in the world, who
Mhm.
you give thousands of trying to pursue their own interests and
Right.
indulge the self. It's no wonder they get so corrupted.
Right.
But I don't think corruption means evil. I think it means tainted.
Twisted version of its original self.
Yeah, but I don't think the Skeksis are inherently evil. I don't think we could see the kind of loyalty that the general puts out there. I mean,
Good.
he's
That's a
loyal.
really good example.
He's loyal to a fault. He doesn't double cross anybody.
Unlike Chamberlain.
Well, I mean, he doesn't double cross him.
No,
he
I know.
he
I
has
said
a problem
unlike
with him.
Chamberlain. Chamberlain double
Oh,
crosses
unlike
the
Chamberlain,
general.
sure. But loyalty is not a bad characteristic, and it drives
Right.
everything about the general's personality.
Right.
We see Skeksil, or not Skeksil, Skektek, the scientist.
Right.
He cares for his animals. You would not be able to threaten a purely evil being by going up and like trying to strangle its pet, and because a truly evil being wouldn't care. It doesn't stand to lose
Right.
there.
You can just get another one.
Can just get another one. It's callous,
Yeah.
But Skektek is gonna miss that animal, and after the Emperor leaves, he goes over and it's fine. Everything is
Right.
well. That's not something you see in a purely evil being. You don't see the interest that the Scroll Keeper
Goes
has
to
with Brea. He's showing genuine interest, and look, a kindred spirit.
Yes.
He's being genuinely friendly. An evil character wouldn't do that. He has no motivation to do that.
Right.
That's genuine. He genuinely wants some kind of a back and forth with Brea, because he does. Why would he be nice to her if he doesn't have to be? He doesn't have to be.
Right.
He's doing it because he wants to.
Right.
Not something you see out of a purely evil being. So that we could keep going down this bunny trail forever, but this is the most fascinating part of the Dark Crystal's world for me.
I think this is what makes it completely head and shoulders above anything I've seen in a very, very long time.
Yeah.
It's well written. It's well acted. It's very deep. It's honestly what I wish Witcher was.
Yeah.
I was really hoping
That
Witcher
would
would
be-
get
that
would
would've
have
been
gotten it.
good.
Like Witcher has this reputation, and a previous series you can see more of my comments on that in our Witcher series. But Witcher has this reputation for being very thought provoking and very forward thinking and very all of that stuff. And for various reasons I go into in that other podcast, I feel like the Netflix series failed to do that. This one, on the other hand, hits that, like, in hockey, we'd call it a 10-bell save. Like, it hits every, it's like the entire panel of judges just holding up 10s. Hey, I wonder if we can do that in post. Can I put a 10 up here?
Maybe.
I probably could.
We'll find out. 10! Look at our beautiful 10. We just got it.
Yeah. 10!
10!
10!
10!
7!
7!
All done.
Well done. So yeah, I like it too. I do. I have some other interesting thoughts I wanted to hit just in terms of lore. Random thoughts.
Lore as in world lore, or lore as in the rock beast?
As in the world.
Okay.
Agra only has one eye.
Yes.
Why does Agra only have one eye?
Well, technically she has two. She has her third eye.
That's true, but we see that she has a socket
Yes.
for another eye. So I see two possibilities. One is that something destroyed it. That one's a little bit more boring because we see her reform her body at certain points and it doesn't
Wouldn't make
reform.
sense.
So why wouldn't she reform her eye? I have a theory why. We see that she can kind of pull her eyes out and send them places. I think there is something on this world that requires her, maybe not undivided attention, but her constant attention.
Okay.
I think there is something buried deep and dark that always needs to be monitored. So she took out an eye and lived basically eternity, the rest of her life with only one eye, so that she could always have an eye on something.
Actually gives me chills.
Doesn't
I
it?
really like that.
I mean, that's my own headcanon, but I really like it.
I was thinking a little more symbolic
Okay, shoot.
along those lines. So she has this whole, her entire character is looking to the future, creating this better future. She's come back from her visit to the stars, realizes it's a miss, and dedicates her life to that. And I wonder if it's a symbolic thing of to look forward is to turn a blind eye to something else. I don't want to say the past because we have to learn from the past,
Sure.
but I wonder if it's like if it's saying that she has to turn a blind eye to something.
Hmm.
To wholly devote oneself to one thing is to forfeit
It
focus
could
on
be.
something else.
Well, and in this series, you can absolutely.
I think yours is more intriguing though.
Yeah, I think so too. But in this kind of a series, it is warranted to read into things that way.
Yeah.
There are certain IPs, whether it be a game, a book, or a movie, a show, where you can't really theorize like this because that amount of thought wasn't put in,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
You just know that amount of thought wasn't put in, and anything they come up with is just going to be done in post, per se.
Right.
It's going to be something they came up with after the fact. There are certain properties that have been so lovingly crafted that everything was thought out.
Mhm.
And when we have something like that, and I believe Dark Crystal to be one of those kind of properties,
I agree.
it's warranted to theorize about stuff
Yeah.
because everything has meaning.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool. It's one of my favorite things about the series.
Yeah. It is one of those things that if you want to geek out about it, have at it. Like it gives you full license to do that.
Yeah. Nice. Cool. So let's hand out some awards here.
Did we hit everything already that we wanted to talk about?
Not too much, but I think we're starting to lighten up.
Okay.
We're starting to lighten up. So I want to talk about
Okay.
some characters.
Okay.
I want to talk about some characters. So maybe we can save favorite characters, but let's go ahead and talk about the Heretic because I
Let's.
really like the Heretic. What did you think?
I love the Heretic. He is my second favorite Skeksis.
Yeah.
Behind the Chamberlain. I know you really, really thought that I would like Skekmal.
Mm-hmm. The
And
Hunter.
I do like Skekmal. He's awesome, but these two are just so well written.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, seriously, the Heretic is in what? 1, 2 episodes?
Something
And
like
he
that.
is so pivotal to
Mm-hmm.
the story. And it's not just like he comes in out of nowhere, has a huge part, and then vanishes. Which,
Yeah.
if you were to just clinically storyboard it out, that's what he does.
Mm-hmm. But he's set up, and his presence is felt throughout the story.
Right. Right. And there is something about just the way he goes about his character
Yeah.
that it's magnetic.
Mm-hmm.
I think the word choice, calling him the Heretic,
Mm-hmm.
was very interesting.
Yeah.
And I'd like to get your thoughts in a sec on why was he called the Heretic as opposed to something like the Outcast,
Yeah.
which would have also fit and probably been a little bit more accurate,
Mm-hmm.
unless. Well, anyway, we'll save that. We'll save that.
Yeah.
But, there's just something so interesting. He's 100% Skeksis, but he's not in any way Skeksis. It's so weird. You have to watch it. Like,
Yeah.
just go watch it.
Go watch it.
Go
It's
watch
good.
We'll wait. All right, now that you've watched
now
it.
that you've watched it. So yeah, Heretic is really cool. I think he kind of falls into that Yoda role where Yoda is written about this close to the annoying line, right?
Yeah.
Any further and Yoda would be
Navi.
just intolerable. But because he just comes up to the line, but he never goes over it, he's so endearing. He's the
Yeah.
wise character with things that really should be annoying. Like you wouldn't want to actually meet Yoda, probably, because
Yeah.
he's annoying.
Yep.
But you enjoy watching that character.
You enjoy watching him annoy someone else.
Exactly. It's also kind of like a Barney Stinson for How I Met Your Mother fans. None of you actually want Barney Stinson as a friend.
Very
He would
true.
annoy you to no end, but he's the best part of the show because you love watching him
Right.
interact with other people.
Right.
And I think he's a character like that, right? You wouldn't want him as an actual friend, but he's a pleasure to watch.
Neil Patrick Harris as the heretic.
That'd be amazing. He'd do it.
He
He'd
would do it so well. Oh man. Can we get like a spin-off show of that, please?
That'd be great.
Please.
But getting back to the heretic and why is he called the heretic? So I don't have a theory written down for this.
Yes, I
This-
stumped you.
This is improv,
so
but I have a
hard
theory.
to stump.
No, I'm not stumped. I have a theory.
By stumped, I mean like you haven't pre-thought about it and written it down.
Oh,
beforehand.
okay.
Yes. That was
Victory.
that was a desire, a goal of mine going into this was to think of something, a question to ask you that you hadn't already thought of.
That's fair. Okay, so here's my answer for you. And I think I like it. I think it's a good one. At least I hope so. Maybe I will say it and I'll realize just how stupid it is when it comes out, but we'll find out. Okay, so we see a couple of times when people go against the word of the Skeksis,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
It's heresy, right? No, I'm not lying. The Skeksis are lying. Heresy.
Yes.
Right? We see this. Wouldn't it be so natural if a religion developed around the Skeksis? Really think about this. In our world, if you dropped a quasi-immortal being in the past with high technology, remember the Skeksis have technology that no one else on the planet has, with the possible exception of Agra, but I think she was only gifted the technology. I don't think she has the power to control it herself, right? And then they're immortal and they just go and go over lifetimes. This religion might naturally have built up around them because they're basically god kings.
It's very similar. If you look at like say the similarities between the Egyptian gods,
Mm-hmm.
the Syrophoenician gods, and the Greek gods, and the Roman gods, and then even if you want to extend as far as the Norse gods, yes, there are some very distinct differences. But there are some themes that are just consistent all the way through. It makes you wonder whether or not these were somehow super beings,
Mm-hmm.
demigods that walked the earth at one time.
Yeah.
Through their stories, through a giant game of telephone, turned into, that guy controlled lightning bolts.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
it's the Ancient Aliens show that everybody likes from years ago, you know?
Yeah. And I love your theory. And the reason why I went, was, okay, going back to what we were talking about earlier about the nature religion,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like, if that's the true religion.
Yeah.
The Skeksis come in and establish a new religion.
Yeah.
So this actually has that whole layer. And I hadn't even thought about that. I had made some religious overtone assessments.
Sure.
But
Yeah, whole
Like,
nother layer.
this this is essentially a retelling of the Crusades in that respect. It's Christianity versus Islam. It's not a 1-to-1 comparison, but it's a religious war.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, for sure.
And yeah, it's really fascinating. Like I've got so many light bulbs going off in my
Yeah.
head right now. I really like your theory. I think I think you win again.
Yeah.
2
So
episodes
I
in
think
a row, you win.
I think that's probably what happened. And I don't even know if the Skeksis would propagate it. I don't think they would fight it. But I mean, if they're just a king that has, I mean, maybe not a king. They are the government functionally. And they're immortal, so the government never changes. This kind of, I could see an organic religion developing around them.
Right.
And then when one of them leaves, that's the heretic.
Mhm.
Maybe the names like the heretic or the collector or the scroll master, maybe these aren't even names the Skeksis give themselves. Maybe these are names that the races of Thra, the Podlings, the Gelflings give to them to tell them apart. Maybe they didn't
Yeah.
deem him the heretic. Maybe when he was banished, the Gelflings and all the other under races, oh, that's the one that isn't allowed in like on Mount Olympus anymore. That's the
Yeah.
heretic god,
Yeah.
you know?
He has actually a very Hades feel about him.
Yeah. I could see that. I could see
He's
that.
been booted off. He's still insanely powerful. He's got
Mhm.
this whole different culture. Not the Disney Hades.
I
but-
like the Disney Hades.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. Which is more than I'll say for 99% of Disney.
There.
But okay, so new question. You want to think about that? You want to take some time and think about what you just said?
I do. I almost agreed with you out of reflex, and my Disney brain is broken now, and I like Disney.